Welcome to the Punter, the show that keeps you across all the betting opportunities across the sporting calendar. On today's show, something of an Olympic special. We delve into track and field, some beach volleyball and Olympic football. I'm pleased to say that Alger of Bluesquare is alongside me in the studio. Just before we get into the Olympics though, Alan, we've got to look back at what happened over the course of the weekend and a huge betting story on the golf. It was, of course, Adam Scott choking, most probably, certainly in my opinion, in the Open Championship.
Yeah, I can tell you this one from a personal point of view, Dan, because I backed Adam Scott and it was quite a busy weekend for me, and he was doing his best work without me actually watching him, and it's one of those bets where you're sort of looking at it going, that's quite nice, I'm on him at 45 to 1 with a few places, thinking great. And first bit of sun on Sunday, and my girlfriend says to me, want to go out for a meal? And do you know what? She popped off to the toilet halfway through our meal, and I checked on my phone. He was about 14 to 1 on, and I'm thinking, right, ordering the steak, lovely, job done. And then a colleague of mine texted me about 2 hours later, just as dessert was arriving, saying, oi, oi, backed Els at 28 to 1. I'm thinking, why is he texting me that? And then found out, and slowly halved the bill with her and sauntered off into the night. So, but from a bookmaking point of view, Els is one of those big names that because he was hanging around towards the top, if you were a leisure punter with your £10 or £5 and wanted to watch the last couple of hours of the Open and enjoy it with a bet, he was probably the kind of player that you were going to back, and he was on the march. And we did take a few big bets on him. When I say big bets, actually returning big money, not actual big stakes. But he did dent what was obviously going to be a quite profitable Open for us, because the big players, the ones that people were highlighting before the tournament, didn't actually perform.
50s on at one stage, I believe, in running. I mean, that's a spectacular choke, isn't it? I mean, we talk about Van der Velde from a few years ago and various other sports as well, but bogey finish, wasn't it, in the end, for Adam Scott? Absolutely, and
having watched it back this morning, I suppose even the putt that he took to try and take it to a playoff, he didn't even play that in the right kind of way, because surely you would just have tried to hit it towards holes as hard as possible. He was playing that as if he still had a shot in hand. It was very, very strange. And I suppose whenever it happens to an individual sportsman like that, you question the mentality, even more so than when a team collapses from a really good position.
Let's move it on from the golf to the Olympics. Golf will be an Olympic sport, although not yet. I think it's due in the next Olympics. But the Summer Olympics, of course, just 4 days away in London, and there is plenty of betting opportunities. We're going to kick off with the football, bound to be popular this time around. Obviously, Team GB. Usually we don't have a team because of various restrictions. Have you found that they've been popular amongst punters, or is it the usual suspects of Brazil and Spain that the punters like?
Well, something that we noticed around Euro 2012 is that punters, even leisure punters, are a lot more savvy with their betting now, and they've got wall-to-wall access of all the players in the other team. So you won't necessarily see the patriotic pound come out as much in the future as we have done in the past. I mean, if you go back to something like the 1998 World Cup in France, obviously sort of satellite TV just taking off, the internet just taking off, but essentially punters very much focused on the teams that they knew, England over there, Scotland over there, and those games were the popular game. Fast forward to Euro 2012, and people know that Spain are a fantastic team. They see them week in, week out. They watch La Liga, and instead of placing £10 on England to whatever they actually did there, you increase your stake and you back Spain the favourites, and you collect. So we're seeing that this time round. The friendly didn't help the other night. I mean, if you were going to back Team GB and you did it before then, you'll be regretting it now. And if you look at the bigger price now and look at that performance, you probably won't step in now. So I think Spain and Brazil, very worthy market leaders. Spain have been hoovering up all these younger tournaments, the under-20 level, the under-19 level, the under-17 level for a while now. That side has progressed into this Olympic squad, and I think they'll give Brazil a run for their money.
Well, speaking of prices, let's take a look at them. We can go and hear from the bet butler, Nigel Seeley, for the first time on the show. Nigel, how do the Bluesquare prices look?
Yeah, thanks very much, guys. I mean, going back to that friendly, what we saw the other night, England against Brazil. I love me football. You know, boys, I love me football. But it's the first game after 20 minutes, half hour, I turned over and watched Coronation Street. I couldn't have it. It was absolute. Even the players on the pitch, Ryan Giggs couldn't be. He didn't want to be there. What am I doing here with this lot? I don't don't even know what's going on. And all the Welsh boys weren't even singing the national anthem. I mean, I tell you what, this here, 12 to 1, Bluesquare have gone the best price in the industry, 12 to 1 here. And it's still not attracting the punters in. They should be around about 25 to 1 shot. If you looked at the players, what chance have they got? The 3 overage Bellamy, you've got Micah Richards, you've got Ryan Giggs. You know, these are players who just average, sort of, apart from Micah Richards, the other two pass their sell by date better greatly. 12 to 1 Great Britain. If you're going to bet them, this is the best price around. But honestly, they will get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think they could get beaten all 3 of their group games. I really, really do. The top end of the market, Brazil are the favourites. You know, let's not 8 to 5, round about between 13 to 8 and 6 to 4. Brazil were okay against Great Britain, but really no great shakes. But their form at under 20 level is absolutely exceptional. They are rightly favourites. Now Spain here, 11 to 4. This is a big price. Bluesquare have gone big here. I fancy a lot of people will be backing these. I think they'll be their worst result in the book. They've got the quality. They've got Juan Mata. They've got De Gea in goal. They've got Jordi Alba, the fullback, who was absolutely superb. But here, Uruguay, this is a team that I quite like the look of here. 13 to 2, maybe a little bit of each way value. They've got a great chance. I think, you know, look up front, they've got Cavani and Luis Suarez. Suarez has scored, I think, 26 goals in 52 matches at international level. What can he do the likes against the likes of these Great Britain defenders, what we saw the weekend? I think that's an attractive proposition. But if you are backing Uruguay, just remember, the last time they played Brazil at under 20 level, the Brazilians won 6-0, and the name Neymar was on the goal sheet with 2 or 3 in that game. But Brazil, Spain, punters are latching onto these 2. But remember, from the last European Championship, everyone said it was going to be a Spain-Germany. They got a half-fit final. They got half of it right. But Spain, 11 to 4, I think that price will shorten come start the Olympics in 4 days' time.
Nigel, thanks. Interesting, isn't it? Spain, they will be popular. And Nigel mentioned 1 or 2 Uruguayan players there. And I think that maybe punters haven't latched on to the full squads yet. And when they realise that the likes of Cavani and Suarez will be playing for Uruguay and the big names in the Brazil and Spanish squads, suddenly they may well be a little bit more active when it comes to betting.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at the market, if you want to take on Team GB because of what happened in the friendly, and you're looking for a bigger price outside of the favourites, then Uruguay will be popular, and that is obviously backed up by the fact that they do have Suarez and Cavani up front. Mexico also look a good price as well. They've got Fabian and Peralta up front as well, and I mean they're 2 good players. You look back at the weaknesses in the Great Britain squad, and I mean Daniel Sturridge was coming back from meningitis, Lauf. I mean the fact that he's getting 45 minutes for the team. I mean, what is it for these players? That they've all got bigger things to look forward to in terms of the new season starting. I can't have Nigel's comment that Ryan Giggs is average. I mean, I'd love an average career like that, wouldn't you? But I suppose now, obviously, age is catching up with him, and I think at sometimes during that game he probably did look that he didn't really know what he was doing there. And I'm not surprised that our odds compilers have gone a big price Team GB. And the big price Spain, I suppose, is the fact that we've looked into Neymar's record, goal scoring record with Brazil, and it's exceptional, as Nigel says, at this level. And I just guess that if it does come down to a shootout in the final between those 2 favourites, you would obviously have Brazil slight favourites.
They have been unlucky in the past, Brazil. They've never won the Olympic title, something that I didn't know. Argentina run it the last couple of Olympics. They've not qualified for the Olympics this tournament. I guess if you are historically looking at this, you think, well, I'll take a chance on Brazil because I've laid them before and I've won my money.
Yeah, and I mean, that's not the worst strategy if you are having a punt just to look forward to, 2 weeks of action. And particularly because we have seen some big price winners of this gold in recent years.
No doubt about that. Top goal scorer, always a fascinating market to take a look at. And I guess we've got to look at the Brazilian players, the likes of Neymar and Pato, who's in the Brazilian squad as well, the AC Milan striker. I guess those names dominate the market.
Yeah, what you have to look at here, and I suppose the strategy in pricing this up will be, our guys will be looking at those players that are playing for the favourites and have easy group games against sides that might not be good defensively. Now, Neymar could get 4 goals in a game. It wouldn't be out of the question that he nets a hat-trick in some of the earlier stage games in this tournament. So you really do need to look. You also need to look at the team news. I probably wouldn't be placing a bet on this market until I'd seen the first couple of games. We will obviously update it in running, but I think it'll be interesting to see if some players are rested. I mean, obviously the squads are as big as they would be at a normal tournament as well.
Let's take a look at the market, shall we, for the top tournament goal scorer for the Olympics. Nigel.
Yeah, I mean, going back to my point on Ryan Giggs there, I'm 39 years of age. I tell you what, I was good 20 years ago, but running around against a load of 19-year-olds in this seat, leave me off. I tell you what, Ryan Giggs can do it at 3 or 4 games against Wigan and do it against Blackburn and do it against Swansea. But I tell you what, he won't be at all effective in this competition. That's my point of view. Anyway, on to the top goal scorer. Neymar, no surprise, 11-2. But one thing I think here, I think there's a big discrepancy between Pato and Neymar. I think Neymar's getting all the headlines. So I tell you what, he might, the way he's diving around, he might miss a few games from the old cars. I can't see him playing every single game. 11-2, Neymar, the favourite. I think that's more the fact that he's so good at this level. He scores the goals. But Al's point about looking at the team news is absolutely crucial. These two are like Cavani 10-1 here. He's around about 10-1. We haven't got Suarez on the caption, but he's at best price 10-1 as well. And I like Suarez. I think Suarez record at international level for Uruguay, exceptional goal every other game too. He scored 26 goals in 52 appearances. He's got to play United Arab Emirates. A load of 19-year-olds from the United Arab Emirates. I think if it's named Suarez on the site, it could be 5 goals. That for me, 21 Cavani, 10-1 Suarez. I think they are going to be the team that could shock everyone here. But Neymar the favourite, 11-2. Pato, Macy Milan man 10-1. I don't think he should be double the price that of Neymar. And the Hulk there, 9-1. If he gets in the game, he's got a chance. But the thing is here, is these 3 players are going to rotate. And that's going to be the key. Find out who's playing in the week game to find out who you bet on here. But for me, Suarez with a bet 10-1.
It's interesting as well, isn't it? Because there's only squads of 18. We don't have the usual squads that we see in European Championships and World Cups as well. So there will be rotation. There's so many Brazilians towards the top end of that market. They can't all play.
Absolutely not. And we've got a Brazilian, South American football expert in the office who thinks Damio is a very, very good bet down there because he thinks that he will play through the middle and won't be rotated and could be playing just behind that main striker. And I suppose if they're dominating the final third of the pitch, he will get forward a lot more than maybe the key striker, someone like Neymar, who might have to drift out wide.
Do you think the top tournament goal scorer will score more than, say, 4 or 5 in the tournament? Historically, we've had 7. Tevez won it when scoring 8. And because we've got weaker teams, Nigel was talking about United Arab Emirates, we've got Belarus and Egypt in Brazil's group, and maybe their youngsters aren't as talented. Well, certainly they're not as talented as the Brazilian boys. Do you think we might get the top scorer maybe looking at 7 or 8 goals?
Yeah, we certainly could. And let's cast our minds back just a month to Euro 2012 when it was a shootout between, I think it ended up being 5 or 6 players at the top, and we didn't expect the winner to actually score many goals because it's a tournament with a huge strength in depth. Even if you're playing against Greece, you don't expect to go and score a hat-trick just because you're playing against one of the weaker teams. They're defensively sound. I don't think that's the case here. They're obviously younger players in certain aspects of the pitch for those weaker teams, and I think that obviously is a big factor, and that's probably why we've seen a lot higher with the Golden Boot, even though there are less games for a player to play in this tournament.
Just briefly, to wrap this section up, we talked about the Great Britain squad. How far do we think they will go? Because looking at their group, Senegal, United Arab Emirates and Uruguay side, I think we all agree are quite good. I mean, could they struggle to get out of their section, do you think? I
think they could. I think that the games against the weaker sides will obviously be key. The game against Uruguay, I mean, I can't see them winning that. I cannot see them winning that at all. And I just think that I can't see them going any further than the last 4. They won't medal in this. I can't imagine that they will. And their price has obviously been affected by the fact that they are, the home team. Yeah,
let's just take a quick look at the odds, shall we, when it comes to Great Britain Team GB squad. Nigel, what are the prices?
Yeah, I mean, no surprise, no medal is a 4-9 chop. Big odds on, but I think that's value. I really do. I think there should be 5 on not to get a medal in this competition. I think the 12-1 is far too short. They're the same price as the England national team were to win Euro 2012. And the thing is, this team have got a lot lesser chance than we did in that competition, and we did with no chance at all. I mean, bronze is 4-1, gold is 9, obviously 12 if you go to Bluesquare, silver 15-2. But no gold, no medal for me. Absolutely knocking bet 4-9. If you like your odds on shot, this is what it is, and that will be my theme for the whole of the Olympics. Get against Team GB. I'm not buying this Olympics. 3 months to do a relay. Could have done it in a week. I tell you what, 4-9 GB, no gold, no medal. That's the bet.
No joy for Stuart Pearce's side, it would appear, from Nigel, and I think us as well. Thanks for now. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with more Olympics chat after this. Welcome back to the Punter as we talk Olympics and, in this section, athletics. Time to delve into one of the blue ribbon events, if not the most spectacular event of the Olympics. It is, of course, the 100 metres. How popular, Alan, is it from a punting point of view these days? Because certainly the last Olympic final with Usain Bolt running a world record and slowing up, it would appear, as he crossed the line, was probably the defining image of the Beijing Olympics, wasn't it?
Absolutely, and this will be the event that everyone tunes in for, and because of that, the knock-on effect will be that if you are having a bet, or if there's one event you're going to watch, it probably will be this one. Maybe not so much on the actual outright winner market, although we have seen some movement in that market over the last few weeks. But maybe in some of the specials, we've got plenty of specials on there. Now, all 8 finalists to run the 100 metres under 10 seconds. That's a special that we've got up on our site at the moment at 4 to 1. Now, nationality of the winner, no surprises for guessing that Jamaica is long odds on at 16 to 1 on. But there are some other specials in and around there, maybe aside from deciding whether you think Bolt's going to win or his compatriot Blake. But
you mentioned Bolt's just had 1 or 2 issues. I don't know if it's problems or not recently, but he has been beaten by his training partner, Johan Blake. And I presume that the odds have just been tweaked over the last couple of months, haven't they?
Yeah, they certainly have. You know, both runners have actually, they've got nearer to each other in the market. Obviously, Bolt has lengthened. He's still odds on, obviously. And Blake's odds against, but he's getting a lot closer there. And obviously, you're looking at 14 to 1 bar those two on average. So really, you're saying a huge percentage of the market is taken up by those two.
Well, as a layer, would you be happy taking a very large bet on Usain Bolt? Would you think, yeah, we'll stand this, we don't mind? Or would you try and shy away from it and try and be maybe short on the firms? How do you play it?
See, this is not a market that you can probably rely on taking money on the outsiders to balance up your percentage in taking on the 2 favourites here. I think it's one or the other. I don't think we'll see a shock result here. So therefore, you probably need to take a stance against one of the favourites, and then you almost become a punter yourself, albeit at a slightly better price than the public can get. So at the moment, I think we're just about trying to get against Blake in our prices.
Let's get to the bet butler. Nigel, how do we price for this one?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I mean, I feel like the Wizard of Oz here. I mean, walking down the road off to see the Wizard. I'll tell you what, the thing is here, I mean, there has been a massive movement. If you ask someone 2 or 3 months ago, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, what price Usain Bolt would be for the 100 metres, you'd say 3 on, 4 on. He's not, he's 8 to 11. And I tell you what, he's getting bigger and bigger and bigger as his competition comes closer. For me, his value. I believe this guy will win it. I think he's put his name down as the greatest sprinter of all time. He'll make history, and I even think the world record could grow in this 100 metre final. This is his destiny. The documentary you saw about him was all about how he's prepared for this Olympic Games, and Bolt is a backable price now, 8 to 11. Obviously, his training partner, Johan Blake here, 9 to 5. Let me tell you a little thing about Johan Blake. He's the fastest time this year at 9.75. But 9 of his 10 races, his fastest times this year, have been in the Caribbean. He's run at his home track in Jamaica. He's running at the Cayman Islands. He did 1 time in America. When he came to Europe at Luzerne, he was 9.86. So the European form, it's all been about Bolt. His times in Europe have been consistently better than Blake. And I think that's a huge factor. He's travelled to these shores before. He knows what it's all about. Barring a full start, I still think Usain Bolt is a value. A couple of the outsiders here, you've got the countryman Asaf Power at 45, Justin Gatlin, the American hope, 25 to 1, Tyson Gay at 16. I think Gay's got a big problem here. I don't think he's going to hit a medal at 16 to 1. The stats were all said about the different specials that the bookmakers are offering. I saw one before I come in today. 7 to 2, Jamaica have a 1, 2, 3. I think that's a real runner, because I think Asaf Power has got the big game experience. There's been Olympic Games and World Championships before. He knows what to do. But Bolt is the favourite, 8 to 11, no surprise. But the surprise is he's not 3 on, he's not 4 on. He's a backable price, and that price is getting bigger. And his European form stands in great set. And I see Usain Bolt completing the 100 metres and the 200 metre double this year.
It's a great spot about the European form, isn't it? I mean, it's something that I didn't consider, I must admit, but as Nigel's explained there, when the spotlight's not really been on Johan Blake, and OK, it was the national trials to get them through to the Olympics, but Usain Bolt is the man for the big occasion. He loves it, doesn't he?
He does, and also, I mean, a little known fact is that he does spend most of his summers at Teddington. Training there, so he'll be used to the climate. I mean, obviously, this isn't really a climate that you need to get used to, because you know, our summers are quite temperate. So I would actually say that Bolt, building towards this, if you were looking at this as a horse race, And sometimes, you know, you need to look at that as the way markets are formed, because obviously they're the most original sort of betting markets. If this was a horse that was having a couple of trials or a season opener and hadn't run particularly well, and the price drifts, that's where the professionals get involved. And this is actually the one that he's aiming for. And when you get a horse aiming for an event, they can sometimes drift in the betting, but before they get to that big event. And I would say that similar things happen with Bolt here, and some professionals could get involved at that price. You do have to be wary of the false start. There was a rumour that the 2011 one, the false start that recently was the one that he did just to highlight how bad the rule was. I'm not entirely sure about that, because he seems to me to be the person that likes winning rather than actually making a point. But,
yeah, it's a strange way to make a point.
A very, very strange way to make a point. But it still goes to show that that kind of thing can happen.
He is the favourite for the 100 metres. He is, of course, the favourite for the 200 metres as well. Let's get back to the butler. Nigel, how do we price for the 200?
Yeah, obviously, I mean, this one here is a little bit shorter than what he was before. But again, these are prices that punters can get involved in. I mean, you're getting the double around about 7 to 4, 13 to 8, that kind of price if you shop around. I mean, who would have thought, again, 200-metre runner, the full start, not so much of importance here, you know, there's the 200 metres. And he looked unbeatable in this for long, long periods of time. And it's a similar reflection of what we saw in the 100 metres. You know, Johan Blake, the fastest time of the year. But again, in Kingston, Jamaica, all his activity has been over in the Caribbean and in America. Bolt, though, hasn't run a 200-metre race in any sort of time in Europe. That's the big thing here. The man who has here is Jason Young, who's not even in the betting. I don't think he's even qualified. He's the guy who's going to be. And obviously Christian Lemaire, the French guy, he's always a proven guy. Now, what I think you've got here is I think the Bolt factor is the punters, I believe, will be back in the double. I think they'll look at the 100, 200 metre double at a very attractive price and get involved in a double. And I think I think this guy's I think Blake could bomb out. I think it's his first big Olympics. I think he could come in it. I think the pressure could get to him rather than the proven man in Usain Bolt. But Christian Lemaire, the French guy, he's the full fastest man. He's 1991, hasn't travelled too far. Obviously 1980 Blake, but I would take about 0.6 of 100 second involved in that. I think he could get a medal if you look around the medal markets. But Bolt for me, 8 to 13. I think this double now is getting huge value. And I think that's what it's all about. I think the top man is peaking, he's coming into it. And barring injury, I think this double becomes massive value now.
Strange, isn't it? Because it's almost as if odds compilers and indeed athletics punters are looking for some sort of angle that maybe isn't there. They see Blake, as Nigel explained, winning races in Jamaica, beating Bolt, maybe a question mark with Bolt. So suddenly it's, I don't want to back odds on, I want to back odds against, I want to try and find someone. I think I've found someone, and Blake's been punted, and it's as if he's too short now, isn't he, really? If we could get a bit at 6, 8, 10, Blake, yes, but at current prices, both for 100 and 200, maybe leave him alone.
Absolutely, and a huge portion of those punters will be ones that just don't touch odds on anyway. So you either let the event pass and watch your odds on guy that you actually fancied to win the race, or you try and find something elsewhere. And like you say, that's maybe already happened at bigger prices before he went on that run, and Bolt looked to be having difficulties. But as you say, this is the main event for him: the 100 metres, the 200 metres, and the 4x100. He said when he was going to Beijing he was going to get 3 golds. He said the same again. That's exactly what he's aiming for. And I agree with Nigel. The 200 metres is actually an easy event for him, because he's got such a big frame that sometimes his downfall can be in the first 40 metres of the 100 metres. So you're talking about, you know, a large portion of the race there where he was just slowly winding up into his stride. And I know we're coming on to the 4x100, but there's a little stat that relates to this, and I'll reveal that in a bit. But it's certainly his frame where he starts to get going. Over 200 metres, it doesn't matter so much.
We will get to the 4x1 shortly, but we're just going to have a look at the 5,000 metres first of all, because there is British interest here, of course, with Mo Farah, who is the world champion at the moment. And I guess, you know, from layman's point of view, if we don't know too much about athletics, we see Mo Farah's name banded around all the time. We know he's a good runner. We know he's a world champion. We expect he's going to win. Is it as simple as that? Is he an odds-on favourite to win the 5,000?
No, he's not odds-on, and I think he's probably up against tactics. I would say that would be the main thing for Farah to actually overcome in this race. We know full well that he's a fast runner over both the 5,000 metres and the 10,000. He had problems indoors. I think he's already rubbished that as being something that will go with him to the Olympics. Again, for him, it's the main event. Again, that's why we see so many world records at the Olympics. You know, these athletes are building up for these events for 4 years, and if you do look too much into the form recently building up to it, again, the horse racing factor can come in where it's not today, but we're building for a future event. And that's exactly the case with Mo Farah. We've gone a shortest price here. We're trying to be with Farah. We've gone 6 to 4. So that's one of the shortest prices. If you're looking to oppose him, we're probably the place to come.
Interesting. Let's check out the latest prices. Nigel.
Yeah, I'm getting the old card out. I'm ready to go over there to Bluesquare. I'm on the phone straight away. I'm opposing Farah here. I really am. I can't believe the prices. I think 9 to 4 is much more realistically. I mean, obviously he's the blue-eyed boy. All the marketing people have got him in here, but I can't have anyone named after a pair of trousers to win a 5,000 metre. One thing about this is though, he was the fastest man of the year to a race in Rome at the beginning of June. Then 10 people in the race ran a faster time than him. And this guy here, Gebre Meskel, he ran 10 seconds faster than Mo Farah in that race. He also beat him in the 3,000 metres when his shoe fell off with one shoe. This guy is 23 years old. He's an Ethiopian. He is the man for me. 11 to 4. This is one of my best bets of the Olympic Games. Leo Farah and get with this guy, Gebre Meskel. Not many people know about him, but he ran 10 seconds faster over 5,000 metres. Mo Farah is the 11th fastest man on this distance in this year on his time forms, and he's the 9 to 4 favourite. This is where patriotic money will come. This is where all the guys say Euro 2012 don't see him for England. They will back Mo Farah for this tournament because he's the only one they know. But make sure you back this guy here. He is an absolute huge value. The other here, Gebre White as well. He's an 18-year-old Ethiopian. He's the second fastest time this year. He's 8 seconds faster than the Mo Farah. There is a lot of young Ethiopian athletes coming out, and where have we heard that before? Young Ethiopian athletes against a British guy at 9 to 4. Where's the value in that over 5,000 metres? I'll be with the Ethiopians all day long, and I want to take this guy here, Gebre Meskel and Gebre White against Mo Farah. Mo Farah, for me, will not win gold medal in the 5,000 metres.
Gebre Meskel is the tip there, 11 to 4, the best price you can get. Be interesting to see if those prices change in the run-up to the Olympics, which is just 4 days away. We've got more Olympics betting chat after the break. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Punter as we talk Olympics 2012. The London Olympics, of course, just 4 days away. Plenty of betting opportunities. We've been talking track and field. One thing that we didn't touch on in our previous section, but we want to, is the 4x100 metres relay. Obviously, Jamaica, the short price favourites for this one.
Very short price favourites, and they're world record holders at 37.10, Olympic record. Now, if you divide that by 4, you're getting 9.275, which is obviously way under the time for Bolt's 100 metres record on his own. And one of the reasonings behind that is because obviously from a standing start as you're going along with the baton, it's not like Bolt has to get into his stride coming out of starting blocks. So obviously the first guy does, but the rest all go from a standing start, and that's exactly why they're running sub 9.500 metres during this race. So they're all managing to contribute to a time that just cannot be beat. They've got 3 of the top 5 in the betting for the 100 metres there. Absolutely nailed on.
Not as simple as just running fast, though, is it? Because the baton change has caused problems for even the best of teams over the years.
Absolutely. So there's an element of risk in the odds-on price, but I think that it's only the USA that can actually contend with them here.
Let's get to the bet, Butler. Jamaica versus USA. Is it a straight match? How do you see it, Nigel?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, Jamaica, and again, I can't believe the price you're seeing here, 4 to 9. I think what it is the bookies want to take on these odds-on favourites in this 100 metres and any relay because there's always a chance they drop the baton. But this isn't Great Britain. This is a team that know how to pass the baton around. Don't get me wrong here. 4 to 9. I mean, I can't believe it. I honestly thought there'd be about 1 to 5, 1 to 4, and if they get the baton round, they win. Simple as that. And the chance of them dropping the baton, I think, is around about 25, 33 to 1 shot. So 4 to 9, absolute value. 7 to 2 USA. Trinidad and Tobago 22 to 1. But USA have run the fastest time of the year this year, so that is probably why they look at that as well. But on the big stage, you've only got to see 3. I'm tipping up the 100 metres to be a 1, 2, 3 for Jamaica, and you can get 4 to 9 about and win the 100 metres. It's just a wrong price for me, and Jamaica will take all the beating. 4 to 9, again, even though it's odds on, represents value.
very difficult to get away from the top two, and in particular Jamaica, isn't it, really?
Absolutely, and you know, you're looking at between the two teams, they have half of the top five in the betting, the second favourites, and they have three of the top five in the betting for the favourites there. So I just can't see where any other team's going to find the strength in depth to actually be able to contend with them. And any shock result will come from something like a drop baton, and that's where bookmakers will be hoping to make their money on an absolute freak result.
Let's move away from the track for now and get to the sand and beach volleyball. I think the tickets have been oversubscribed by quite a long way. This is an interesting one. We have, of course, pricing. I mean, let me just ask you this, Alan. Because it's the London Olympics, have you been almost pressured into pricing up every single event, whereas maybe in the past you wouldn't have even looked at beach volleyball? Or is it just the nature of betting and the fact that you bet on everything these days, it wouldn't have mattered where the Olympics have been held?
Well, there's obviously a lot of competition between bookmakers, and obviously this summer has been pinpointed as something which might get a few people involved that don't usually bet, and we're maybe looking towards a high percentage of the female population will actually be watching these events, and they might like a wager with it as well. You know, you talk about the Grand National as you know, the race that unites everyone, and everyone bets regardless of their background. This might see a few people watching it that haven't had a bet before and come in. So we need to offer every single event because they might be coming in for that particular event. Beach volleyball and the women's beach volleyball is actually quite a competitive heat, and I think that this will actually be one of those where again we see two favourites at the head of the market, and I think this is another one where we'll be looking for an absolute shock because we don't really have the percentage working for us as bookmakers here.
Nigel, talk to me about beach volleyball. First of all, what are the prices? Secondly, can you get me any tickets?
sorry. Sorry, guys. I didn't. Oh yeah, sorry. The beach. Oh yeah. I'm gonna tell you what. Since the Olympic ballot come out, I've been to every single training session of this. So I've been to every single pre-season war. I've got some massive views on this beach volleyball here, and I tell my view is take on the USA. 9-5 favourites. Brazil are the reigning world champions. They beat USA in the World Championship final, and I think Brazil at 12-5 represents some huge value here. I think these Americans are too short at 9-5. If you're looking for a couple of outsiders here, very interestingly, China, 50-1 shot. They're rated #1 in the world. Their pairing is the #1 pairing in the world. They're 50-1 shot. I think that's very big. Obviously, we don't really associate China with beach volleyball, but they're 50-1 shots. And there's a big discrepancy on Italy here. They're as short as 6-1 with some bookmakers, 20-1 with others. But from my research, and it's been quite extensive research, I must say, USA are worth taking on at 9-5, and they're worth taking on with the Brazilians, and have a small little each way on China at 50-1. That could represent some value. But I'll let you boys get back while I concentrate on some more research.
Yeah, I think it's one that everyone wants to have a look at. It should be a fantastic spectacle. From a betting point of view, I mean, Nigel highlighting China there at 50s could be some value. I must confess, I don't really know too much about the top two in the market, but you were shaking your head when Nigel was saying taking the USA.
I've got that result as quite as different in the World Cup, Nigel, if you can still hear us. I've got the USA winning that 3-0 against Brazil in the World Cup. In my research, so yeah, we were obviously looking at something else while we were writing down the score.
You were never looking at the score, were you? That was the problem. You were never looking at the score.
The restraining order kicked in for the final, I think. So that's what that was.
So I think that's why maybe the USA are favourites now to take the crown from Brazil. Brazil, the Olympic champions, but lost 3-0 to the USA in the World Cup. And again, as Nigel highlights, and as particularly your first question to me highlighted, bookmakers have to become involved. That's where you see discrepancies. That's where, as a punter, you should be looking to try and make your money.
And we were having a bit of a laugh about this, but the players, the performers, the beach volleyball players are taking this deadly seriously. There's a proper professional tour, isn't there, and so on and so forth?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is a high-level sport, and whilst the Great Britain team won't win any prizes in this particular event, and they're obviously there sort of for a home show, elsewhere in the world, this is a huge event.
Let's move on to the men's road race. We're going to go to cycling. Obviously, we've just had the Tour de France completed at the weekend. Bradley Wiggins, of course, scoring first time ever that Britain has taken the yellow jersey all the way to the Champs-Élysées. But when it comes to the road race, we're looking at riders like Mark Cavendish, I suspect, here, Alan.
Yeah, we certainly are, and an odds-on shot. Only 6 days between for resting. Obviously, Cavendish more involved in the time trials and sprints and the shorter distance work work in the Tour de France. But to come from that and only 6 days later do, I think it's 250 kilometres down into Surrey, back up to into central London, and he's the odds-on favourite to go and do that after coming back from France with not much rest.
Let's get to the butler. I guess you'd want to take Cavendish on, would you, Nigel? How do you see it?
Well, hang on, they're all coming everywhere. The thing is about this is that I tell you what, 2 days, just before the 2 days ago, 3 days ago, just before the Tour de France, Mark Cavendish was a 2-1 favourite for this competition. Now, as you've generally got the gist of it, I don't fancy Team GB in hardly any competition whatsoever. I don't think we'll even get a gold medal in anything on track. I honestly believe that. But I think this boy's different class. I honestly do. I think 6-5, again, doesn't really appeal to people, that kind of price. He's sort of odds-on favourites. But he is in a different league to everybody else. You've only got to see how he won the time trial 2 stages ago in the Tour de France. He won it absolutely in a canter. He is at Sagan. He was beating him every single time in the Tour de France. He is absolutely different class. And 6-5, I think, will get backed. I think this guy will start this race at 4-6, and the reason why is cycling is now fashionable. You can't get a Boris bike outside there for love. When everyone's on the streets, everyone's going along their bikes. Bikes has become trendy again, and Cavendish 6-5. And these punters have just got the belief. You pick up a newspaper, you read Cavendish, you read Wiggins, and that is where punters will put their money down, and rightfully so. If 6-5 is wrong, he will start this race, I believe, odds on. I think he'll start around about 4-5, 4-6. Then he probably isn't any value. But at the moment, while he's odds against, Mark Cavendish is a serious bet for this. And this is the sport that we are head and shoulders above everybody else in, and we will excel in. I think it's the track and field where we will struggle. But Mark Cavendish, 6-5 favourite, rightly so. And for the first time, I'm going to be saying, go on, GB, what have you done today?
Has he got a point to prove, do you think, Cav? Because he's been overshadowed because Bradley Wiggins, of course, won the Tour. Cavendish came back and won a couple of late stages, but it's Wiggins that have been making the headlines this year, whereas previously, last couple of Tours, it's all been about Cavendish's Tour stage wins.
It has, and they've even said to him he can find a team that's more suited to his style of racing if he wishes to for next year. But I think he'd have always had in the back of his mind that he can come here and win gold, and he knows full well he's favourite for this. And I agree with Nigel, 6-5 might be a bit of the mythical price because that is top end of a market that's been absolutely hammered over the last few days. That might not be there now. If you're watching the programme, it might not be there now, that 6-5. We're already 4-5 odds on. Big discrepancy in the market. The only reason that you've got a second favourite at such a big price at 7-1 is because there's so many runners. I think it's 199. I think it's maybe about 200 runners in this particular race. So you are actually pricing up so many cyclists. That's where the percentage comes back. But in a clear indication between does Cavendish win it or not, it would be 4-5. It'd be odds on to win it, and then obviously that means 10-11 the field. Yeah,
it could be a gold medal for Team GB when it comes to the road race. We've still got more to come on the Olympics. We'll be delving into some team specials after the break. Welcome back to the Punter. We're talking Olympics. We've been talking track and field, beach volleyball. Next, it's time to delve into one or two Olympic specials, and we're going to start, Alan, with how we think, which nation will get the most golds and indeed total medals as well. I think we're going to take a look at. Traditionally, I guess we're looking at the powerhouses of China and USA in this particular market.
Yeah, we certainly are, and I suppose if you look at in terms of population, they've obviously got the most people to choose from, and therefore, I think that you need to bear that in mind. Now we're looking again another market that just has two clear market leaders, then any price you like the third, and that seems to be the case for a lot of the individual events, let alone this medal table. But again, it's going to be between those two. USA odds on at the moment, China second favourites. Then it's about 100 to 1 bar.
China, of course, won the most golds, I think, in the previous Olympics, but of course it was in Beijing. Yeah. So we expect a little bit of a drop-off, do we think, this time?
We do, and I know that we're going to come on to some of the Great Britain medal specials in a bit, but there's an interesting thing about home advantage. Now, just prior to those Beijing Olympics, Goldman Sachs came out with a report. I don't know why they were researching it. I don't think anyone would trust them these days anyway. But they said that it was worth about 54% on your medal total. But they only studied the two previous Olympics, which happened in Greece and Australia. Now, Australia is obviously a very vast country, but doesn't have the biggest population. Greece the same. And the difference between Greece getting 3 and 6 is obviously it doesn't take much to get an extra 3 medals. They were actually saying that China were going to double their haul, and it was absolutely ridiculous. And I'm a big fan of stats, but sometimes people say stats can stats can prove anything or disprove anything, and that was probably the case that time. So you wouldn't have expected a massive upturn from China. Home advantage seems to only count when you've got a referee in a sport, not individuals competing. But they certainly did well in their home events because they entered everything and obviously had more chances to win.
Nigel, what's the market shaping up for this one?
Yeah, obviously the Americans are obviously odds on here for the market. They always seem to get the most gold medals, and it's surprising really that's 4 to 6 here. I mean, this has been drifting. I mean, it did start off a lot shorter. There's been money for China. Obviously, the guys on Sports Tonight Live, Trevor and Chris, have been tipping up China to get the most gold medals, 6 to 4, and it's become a race now. 4 to 6 USA, 6 to 4 China. Anything you want, anybody else. And let's be realistic. None of these guys down here are going to have any chance of doing it. It's whether you think the Chinese can emulate what they did in the last Olympics, or maybe even get better. I personally don't think that's the case. I think this China price has been back down now to probably what the right prices were. It was around about 2 to 1. The Americans were 2 to 1 on. And now I believe that the Americans are becoming value because they are the tried and tested team when it comes to these Olympic Games. They always do it. You know, they don't peak at certain Olympic Games like the Chinese have done. And I think the Americans, I think they're a formidable outfit. And I know we're talking about events where we don't expect them to do well, but there's a huge amount of events which they will do well. And I think USA at 4 to 6 are right favourites. I can still see the money coming for the Chinese, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the next 2 days those odds contract. And I think this will be about a 5 to 6 match. 6 to 5 China. They're the kind of things I think will get off it. But the bigger and bigger America come, the more value I believe they are. And I think the American will just about nick more goals than China.
It's the sort of bet, Alan, that will give punters an interest in absolutely everything. If you're going to sit and watch the Olympics from start to finish, day by day, watch the lot, the trampolining, the beach volleyball, the football, well, you've got an interest pretty much in everything if you have a bet in that particular market.
Absolutely. And obviously they've got chances across the board because of, they've got a huge population to choose from in both countries, and they target individual events. One thing that I would say is maybe the Chinese are actually shorter prices in those events where they are odds on to actually capture the golds. So they've got more certain golds than the USA have got. So that's probably why they've been back. If you understand what I mean, a lot of the American golds, yes, they are favourites to get them, but they're not a shorter price. So China will be starting from a base of golds that are absolutely nailed on, whereas the USA will be competing for plenty across a vast range of sports. And obviously, if it goes well for them, they will end up with more.
Let's concentrate on Great Britain and discuss how we think they might do in the Olympics. We talked about home advantage. The market that we're going to look at here is GB's position in the medal table. I mean, for me, they massively overachieved in the Beijing Olympics, but their gold medal haul over the last couple of Olympics has steadily gone up, and obviously there's been so much investment put into a whole manner of disciplines and sports that you expect Great Britain to do well, but how well?
Yeah, again, obviously the Olympic authorities in this country, the athletics, and that they team up with all the other sports and come up with a figure that they're going to get. And usually they undercook it. And you'll actually see, unusually, that they're just slightly above where we set it as bookmakers, which is unusual because, I mean, if you've ever worked for a boss, the best thing to say is to just undercook the expectation, isn't it? If you say I'm going to get it to you on Thursday and you can get it there on Wednesday, then you're going to say
This is an
Thursday
insight into your character, not anyone else, Alan. That's all we say.
Absolutely, and if my boss is watching, Thursday. But first to third, I think that obviously there you're looking at the third place there. That's the vast element of that price, as we've seen in the last 2 prices for USA and China to be 1-2. I mean, it's going to take an absolute miracle to dislodge those 2 from the first 2. So really, you're just backing Great Britain to finish third in the medal table there at 7 to 4. Now, fourth obviously just means that one of the others has overtaken them, and that's quite plausible, especially if they underachieve in the track and field. And it's no surprise to see that as the favourite at 5 to 4.
I think it'll probably be fourth, but one suspects. Nigel, you think it's going to be lower than that? How do you see it?
Well, I think that's the best we can hope for, Forth. I honestly do. I think what's going to happen here, if you look at the medals, what these 7 were going to do, Team GB has said 70 or so medals. Colin Moynihan was on the radio the other day, bringing it back 55. He's now realising they've overestimated. They've done an Allen. They said they're going to deliver on Thursday. They haven't delivered. I tell you one thing here. We will suffer. The GB, I'm going to call it called the Adam Scott effect. We will bottle it on so many events. It'll be unbelievable. We'll win the cycling, yeah, because they're proven winners. They're the best team. They've got the money, the infrastructure on it. That's not a problem. We know that the guys, the sailor, what's his name, Ainsley, he'll go around, not the cook, not salt, pepper, Ben Ainsley, he'll go around and he'll win a gold medal. That's done. But all these other ones, when they're about sort of, I think Jessica Ennis, I think she'll bomb out. Mo Farah, I think he'll bomb out, and we will bomb out. 5th for me and 4th combined. 4th the best you can hope for, but 5th or 6th. 6 to 1 and 10 to 1. That is exactly where I'll be wanting to put my money on. That's around about a 3 to 1 shot. So it's 130, 5th or 6th. Give me that price, 130, 5th or 6th, or 1st and 3rd at 7 to 4. I'll tell you where I'll put it up. 1st or 3rd, 7 to 4, or 5th or 6th, 130. Don't Germany win any medals anymore. Don't Russia do any of these tournaments anymore. Team GB, we've got ideas above our station because we're a little nation. These boys are really, there's some other nations involved in this, and I think the expectation on our athletes, who, let's be honest with them, we're not exactly renowned for being the greatest winners, are we, as a nation? I think the expectation might be too much, and the old Adam Scott Simpson will come in, and we'll be 5th or 6th.
Maybe Nigel and Alan, our athletes, can get inspired, and they might get inspired by the person who lights the Olympic flame in the Olympic Stadium. This is a special that 1 or 2 bookmakers are running. I think we can see 1 or 2 odds, or we will be able to see 1 or 2 odds. I mean, there's a whole manner of names being mentioned. I think Steve Redgrave is one, and Chris Hoy was towards the top of the market as well, but he's going to be the flag bearer now for the Great Britain side, so maybe he's dropped off the list, as we can see here. The likes of Kelly Holmes. Have you got any opinion on this?
I haven't really. I did see an interview with Sir Steve Redgrave the other day, and they said, if you were lighting the flame, would you have been told yet? And he said, I hope not, because I haven't been told yet. So maybe they are keeping it under their hat. But you'd think that the person would know, or at least someone would know. And sometimes bookmakers don't like offering those last to know markets.
Yes,
and it does look a two-way race. Roger Bannister, I think, is an interesting shout. Daley Thompson has not exactly courted public opinion since winning his decathlon golds.
I don't think that we know, but Nigel might. Nigel?
Yeah, I tell you what I'm hearing is that basically they wanted the governing bodies obviously want an athlete. There's always been athletes who've lit the flag before, but the Danny Boyle and his production team want somebody else. They want somebody to look at the show and sort of be the person who the top figure. And I'm hearing that the Queen might be a runner here. I mean, she's been on the phone to me before. She sent me a tweet, and she said that she could be a runner here. So, and I'm not talking about the rock group. I think the Queen have got a chance. But I personally think if you want someone to sort of do the East End, and Barbara Windsor. What about Peggy Mitchell? I think she's got a great chance. But joking aside, Stephen Redgrave's a favourite, 8 to 13. But honestly, I would not rule out the Queen playing some part in this. I don't think she's going to write it, but I think there's a compromise going on between the BOA and the Olympic Board and the organiser of the event. And I think the Queen might be involved somewhere. Redgrave 8 to 13, no, right favourite.
Unbelievable.
I don't think they'll be dragging an 80
No, neither do I. Alan, we've got to leave it there. Many thanks for your company, and to Nigel as well. Fantastic insight. You never know, it might be the Queen. I think it might be David Beckham. I think they found something for him to do. That's all we've got time for on the Punter. Hopefully you will join us again. From all of the team, goodbye.